Here are the 5 mistakes we see sellers make all the time when they're selling their home in Hoboken, and here's how you can avoid making them. The truth of the matter is the Hoboken market is strong for sellers. You do get multiple buyers, you do get bidding wars, but there's still ways to make mistakes that can leave money on the table, causing you time, energy, money, stress, and overall a bad experience selling your property. So here's the 5 mistakes, and here's how you can avoid each one of them. Mistake number 1 is skipping the final steps of touch-ups. A lot of people say, well, I'm gonna have multiple buyers, are gonna waive inspection, I'm in the driver's seat, so let's not finish running the baseboards. Let's not finish switching out the switch plates on the light switches or the plugs. Let's not worry about those little nail holes, like they'll take that. And maybe you're right, people will bid it up anyway and they will waive inspection. But we're looking to create an emotion when people walk into the house. We're looking to create a excitement, a turnkey ability that you can just bring my suitcases in and just start living my life. The Hoboken lifestyle especially is one of convenience. People want to just come in and be done. And the idea of doing a lot of like small nitpicky little things, the time and energy that's going to take them from their busy lifestyle definitely takes some buyers out of the picture or diminishes their excitement about the property. So just finish those last little pieces. It's going to come back to you way more in the purchase price than it will the cost of doing those up front. Mistake number 2, similar to the first one, but this is not depersonalizing your property. Now this comes down to things like paint color, things like pictures, things like furniture, very specific furniture. And now everyone's taste is different and no one's taste is right and no one's taste is wrong. But what we need to do when we're marketing a property and we're trying to get the most money and the most excitement about that property is we need to make it appeal to the masses. So we need to go with the trending colors, the neutral colors. We need to go with simple, clean furniture, simple, clean aesthetics. And we need to get down the personalized pictures and the personalized sports memorabilia and those things that might be cool to you, might be cool to me, but we want to make sure it's cool to the biggest pool of buyers, because what we're looking to do is create emotion. We want people to come in and say, I can live here. I'm excited about living here. I can see my family, myself, unfolding our lives into this space, not the feeling of, oh, it's somebody else's taste, someone else's house, someone else's family lives here. We want them to feel about mine. So mistake number 3. This is one that I'm gonna get a lot of flack over from my other real estate agent friends out there. It's panicking and cutting the price too soon. So many people, and a lot of agents will tell you too, look, if the market doesn't respond to our price in the first week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, it's time to reduce the price. And many times that could be true, but many times it's not. And you really need to be able to read the tea leaves, know the nuances of the market, what's happening, because many times Hoboken's a thin market. There's only a few buyers for your property. And if one happens to be distracted with a job transfer, one happens to be on vacation, and the other one had a family emergency, they just may not be in the market that week. And we see this all the time. 2-3 weeks later, all 3 of those buyers come back into the market, come to an open house, and there's a bidding war without a price reduction. So I'm not telling you to lock into a high price and never change it and not look at what's happening in the market, and if there's reasons, reduce the price if needed. But don't just do it by default because the property hasn't moved in the first few weeks. You got to use a little bit of more thoughtful approach to it, or you're going to wind up doing it just blindly because it feels like what should happen. Mistake number 4 is not understanding the micro markets within Hoboken. Now, Hoboken's only 1 square mile. At any given time, especially nowadays with low inventory, there's only 50, 60, maybe 70 homes on the market for sale at a time. So it may feel like a small, consistent, homogenized type market, which it's just not. There's so many different micro markets inside of that 1 square mile. We have doorman buildings versus non-doorman buildings. We have east side versus west side, uptown versus downtown, 1 bedrooms versus 2 bedrooms versus 3 bedrooms, the townhome market versus the condo market, obviously. But a lot of times people will just say, well, the market's screaming hot. Well, what does that mean for what segment? Because 1-bedroom buyers might be giving their firstborn away to get into a property, while 3-bedroom buyers are looking for this and that and maybe some specifics, and they're not willing to take any 3-bedroom, or the inverse, and it changes quickly. So make sure you just don't paint with broad strokes. Your advisor, your real estate agent isn't just saying, market's strong, we can do whatever we want, or market's not strong, we better price it very low. That's not true for the whole market almost ever. There's always very separated segments of the market, so make sure you understand those nuances. Mistake number 5, similar to mistake number 4, is not understanding the stories behind comps. Since Hoboken's a thin market, a small market, has micro markets inside of it, you're gonna get down to 2, 3, 4 pieces of data from past sales that are really gonna tell most of the story for where you should list your property and what buyers are gonna be willing to pay. Now, a lot of times there's nuance behind, almost 50, 60% of the times there's nuance behind those prices. A price may come and look way out of whack. Why was that one so high? We've seen times when people came in that had 1031 exchanges, they needed to put all that money to work within the next few days, willing to overpay for a property, then there's no buyers behind it. Or the other side, you might say, why'd that sell so low? Why it sold in 1 or 2 days? Well, a lot of times properties sell off market, and then the real estate agent will put it on market with that price. It looks like it was a regular sale, but it was actually sold off market to a very limited buyer pool. Sometimes pictures aren't representative of what they really are. Sometimes things just don't look in the marketing and then in the data the same way they show up in real life. So all those 4 or 5 pieces of data that you get at the end, you need to make sure you have context. You need to make sure you understand why those prices were like that, especially for the outliers. Because if you start pricing off of outliers, you run the risk of pricing too high or pricing too low and winding up with a really bad outcome for your sale. Hope this was helpful. It's not a complete list of every mistake and everything you need to consider when you're going to list or sell your Hoboken property, but it is the ones we see most common and the ones that are very many times overlooked. If you have any questions, you want to know about your specific property, you want to know specifically what's happening in the market today, reach on out. We'd be happy to have a conversation and see how we can help you make sure you understand everything before you make a decision on how and when to sell your property.